Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2017 album review. And holy shit, this is going to be a good one. As you can clearly see below the title, today we're going to be looking into the new album from the almighty titans of death metal, Cannibal Corpse. Their new album, Red Before Black, which came out today through Metal Blade Records. Holy shit. Like, I don't even think I even need to introduce Cannibal Corpse. I mean, one of the biggest names in death metal. These guys has been around since the early 90s. And for me, Cannibal Corpse has been one of my all-time favorite bands. Ever since I first heard them back in like 2009 or so, I heard the song A Hammer Smashed Face and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? And of course, I saw their little appearance in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, the movie with Jim Carrey, and that pretty much got me into Cannibal Corpse. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have gotten into like more extreme music like death metal or black metal or grindcore, any of that stuff. So I give Cannibal Corpse like huge credit for getting me into them, to like death metal and shit. And of course, the band's 14th album is the follow-up to 2014's A Skeletal Domain, which is a really good album. But then again, like, everything that Cannibal Corpse has done has just been perfect. Like, they're one of those bands for me that never fails to release a bad album. And my god, this is of course always great, as expected, as always. I mean, I don't know how these guys, they've been around for a little over 25 years and they still just deliver, just punching, like, kicks you in the fucking face death metal. I mean, the production is just spot on. Like the one thing I know like about Cannibal Corpse's albums is like they have great production. Of course, this album they've worked with Eric Rutan, who is the guitarist, I believe, vocalist for Hate Eternal, and he worked on some of their past albums such as like Kill, Evisceration, Plague, and Torture. And I don't think he produced the last album, but this album, like, he does a really great job, like everything. And let's talk about like the guitar. The guitar work on this album is just spot on. I mean, like, that's the one thing I love about Cannibal. I mean, they just have like great riffs. And the guitar sound is just beefy, crunchy, and just super goddamn heavy. Pat O'Brien and Rob Barrett, just their riffs is just, and the tone on this album is just spot on. And just like the lead soloing is just, my god, insane. The drums on this album, what can I say about Paul Mazurkiewicz? Paul Mazurkiewicz's drumming is just as great as always. Like, the dude's like about in his 50s and he still can fucking like deliver drumming wise. It's just a pounding to the face. The bass wise, what can I say about Alex Webster? I mean, like, his bass is pretty damn audible. That's one thing I noticed about like every Cannibal Corpse album. Like, his bass is like excuse me, his bass playing is just so superb and just so audible. You could definitely hear it in the mix. Like, in my opinion, probably my all-time favorite bassist. So he's tied between him and Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. Like, he definitely knows how to make the bass sound good, and you could definitely hear it in the mix. And it just is just spot on good. And the vocal work, my god, what can I say about George Corpse Grinder Fisher that hasn't been said like a bunch of different times? Easily, in my opinion, one of the most sickest death metal vocalists of all time. Just like his growls and just screams are just insanely just brutal. And like, this is I believe this is the 10th album that he's been with since he joined the band. No, he's been with them since around, Vile. And my god, like, he still just sounds exactly the same as he did back then and as he is now. Like, a little over 20 years, it's just been spot on. But without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, the album opens up with Only One Will Die, which is a brilliant way to start off this album. It's just like identified with like the gore-based lyricism, and the song itself is a shovel to the face with like how fucking brutal it sounds. It's like I said, a great way to start off this album. Love it. Then we go into the title track, The Red Before Black, which is a good song that does the job without kind of like feeling like the centerpiece of the album, but with a brief guitar solo in there is just really good. And then we go into Code of the Slashers, which is kind of where the album kind of slows down a little bit. It has more of a slower kind of pace to the song, and just a very grinding mood. The intro kind of reminds me of something similar to like Bloodthirst and shit. A great wait, great song, I should say. Love it. Shedding My Human Skin. Now, this is where the band is able to introduce sort of like a new musical dynamics within like the instrumentation, where it appears like it kind of quickens more with like Corpse Grinders unleashes like a disgustingly violent growl to the listener. Plus, the addition to the song intro that reminds me of like something from like Lamb of God did once upon a time is a fresh reminder of Cannibal Corpse's ability to innovate even within an admittedly stable genre, sort of like in death metal. So, though, but in straying from the formula can sometimes be difficult to implement. Now we go into Remained, which honestly Remained is kind of like the traditional kind of Cannibal Corpse fare, which isn't bad at all. It's not to say the song is bad. However, it doesn't like accomplish much than on the rest of the album. Now, the next two songs that followed are Firestorm Vengeance and Head Shoveled Off, which these two songs sort of like a pair of like balancing themes with sort of like a combination of the various tempos in those songs as well as like fast instrumentation. I just has been sort of like associated for the style of the music since their initial formation in like the early 90s and so. And then we go into Corpus Delicity. I probably butchered that. Forgive me if I mispronounced the name of the song. Sorry, I keep fucking up for some reason. But anyway, the song itself is pretty good. It shows off sort of like great guitar work, and it shuts up a storm. I mean, Pat and Rob just has some really great riffs, and this song is just like riff central. I mean, I love the song. Scavenger Consuming Death. I love the sick bass lines on this song. I mean, Alex Webster, like I said, can do no wrong. Like, one of my all-time favorite bassists, and he does some really great sick bass licks, especially like similar to like reminiscent of like something from like the song The Strangulation Chair off of 2012's Torture. A really great song. I enjoyed it. And then we go into In the Midst of Ruin, kind of like brings it with some like sludgy guitar tones and ferocious drumming to like back it up. And then the last two songs on this album, Destroyed Without a Trace and Hideous Itcher. I can't say that name. I'm sorry if I butchered it. And these two songs achieved the arguably hard job to end this album with a bang. And these songs are just monstrous. I love these songs. Now, overall, Red Before Black is without a doubt a perfectly faultless addition to Cannibal Corpse's like discography. If I were to give this album a score, I'd probably give this a solid 8 to an 8.5 out of 10. I mean, like I said, Cannibal Corpse can do no wrong. They just continue to just release like monstrous albums, just brutal, kick you in the fucking face albums every time. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think of the new Cannibal Corpse album, guys. And if anybody's going to see them at the Masquerade on December 7th, let me know, and I hope to see you all there. But that's my review of the new Cannibal Corpse, guys. Thank you guys for watching. See you all in the next video, and keep it metal.